In today's lesson, we're going to talk about measuring volume from Unit 7. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to calculate the volume of an object by calculating the total units that create the volume through a visual representation or through the algorithm. You'll know you'll have it when you can evaluate the volume of an object correctly. Some vocabulary for this topic is volume, the amount of space that an object takes up, unit, a base measurement of 1, length, how long an object is, width, how wide an object is, height, how tall an object is. Important things to know about volume is that we can measure volume in cubic units or through a formula that can tell us the actual measurements in feet, yards, meters, measurements of length like that. We know that volume is the amount of space that a 3D object takes up. So any object that you can touch that has any width, length to it has a volume. For this, we're going to be focusing on rectangular prisms and using the formula volume equals length times width times height. Remember, the length is how long an object is. The width is how wide it is or how far back that object goes. And the height is how tall that object stands. To be able to measure volume, we must have those 3 measurements, multiply them together, and that will give us the volume of an object. With our unit rectangular prisms, we know that a unit has a value of 1. So every time we see a small square in one of our models today, we know that that means 1. It goes 1 up, it goes 1 across, and it goes 1 wide. So let's start out by analyzing the actual model that we are given. To find the volume, the first question that I want to ask is how many cubes are in that top layer? I can look and I can count. Well, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can see 6 cubes. Remember, the cubes count as a 3D object. So I count 6 cubes in that top layer. I'm going to look at my second layer. I know because this is a rectangular prism, all of these sides are going to be equal. So if I set 6 on the top, I'm going to have 6 in the middle as well, even though I might not be able to see some of them. This layer is going to be equal to this layer, and it's also going to be equal to this layer. So I know I also have 6 cubes in my bottom layer, or my third layer. How many cubes do I have all together? Well, I can add the top, the middle, and the bottom to find out. I know I have 6 plus 6 is 12. 12 plus 6 is going to be 18. So this rectangular prism has a volume of 18 cubic units because that's how many cubes make up this entire shape. Remember, volume is the amount of space or how much matter takes up that amount of space. So this rectangular prism takes up 18 cubic units of space. Now let's say that I don't want to go through and count and add because sometimes our rectangular prisms can be pretty big. And if I count these one by one, it could potentially take me a while. That's where that algorithm comes in. That volume is equal to length times width times height. I'm going to need to find my 3 measurements in order to plug it into that algorithm to find my volume. How do I do that? Well, first, let's look at length. Remember, length is how big it is across. I can figure that out by counting the number of cubes across the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I know length is equal to 6 units. Next, I want to do width. Remember, that's how far back it goes. So I'm going to count how far back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The width is also equal to 6. Finally, I want to calculate the height. How tall does my object stand? I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't forget to count that bottom cubic unit because since we're going up, we're looking at a completely different set of units here. So I must count this bottom one. So I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cubic units is my height. Now that I have found those 3 measurements, I can take them and plug them into my algorithm. So I know volume is equal to 6, because that is my length, times 6, which is my width, times 7, which is my height. Now it is my job to go ahead and perform all these operations and simplify that equation to get my volume. So the first thing I can do is 6 times 6. I know from my math facts, 6 times 6 is 36. And then I'm going to bring that 7 down because I still have to multiply that out. I know that 36 might be a little bit big to multiply in our head, so I can put it over here at the top. 36 times 7. Do that math on the side. I know that 6 times 7 is 42. Carry my 4. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 4 is 25. So I know my volume is 252 cubic units. If I needed to double check this, I could count this out layer by layer, add it all together, and it would equal 252. Continue on for more practice problems, just like this one.